With a business, you register it just the same way you have your birth registration. You have your birth certificate, the business has its own certificate of registration. It's a person on its own and it has its own needs. So you cannot come now and mix your needs and that of the business. One of the two will suffer.
What's up, Sanara Creatives? Welcome to Sanara Talks, your go-to resource for real, practical conversations that help creatives grow. Let's go! Here, we break down the topics, insights, and lived experiences that shape your creative journey. If you're in the creative economy, this space is for you. I'll be your host, Van. Hello, welcome again to another episode of the Sanara Talks. And today with me is Annette, a consultant, a trainer, a mother. She works with Sandbox for the Sanara program. Let her tell us something about herself.
Okay, so like you've heard, my name is Annette. I'm a trainer and coach with Sandbox Ubuntu for the Sanara program. Also a business person on the side. I'm a mother and I'm happy to be here.
We are glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yes. Today we are going to talk about running a successful business. Yani sanaa na biashara.
Yes.
Kwa sababu unaweza kuwa na sanaa lakini hakuna biashara. Ama sanaa haiwezi kuwa biashara. Ama there are things that are holding you back from making your sanaa biashara. So I think we'll jump right in. What is always a wake-up call moment when you realize talent alone isn't enough?
I think having trained the creatives for now, this is 1 year,
Yes.
but also training before, talent alone is not enough. Just like when you're baking a cake, flour alone is not enough.
That is very true.
You realize that there are a lot of things that come into play when you want to get into a business. And I think for us at Sanara, among the things that we do with those guys were really at the idea stages, helping them to know whether what they have is a hobby or it's a business. And with the guys in the idea stage, 80% of the times they realize, okay, this has been a hobby, but it has potential to get me money. So what do I need to do to be able to turn my passion into profits? That's really it. Because one of the things I've come to discover in Kenya, we have a lot of talented youth. They've got amazing ideas, they're doing amazing things, but they just don't know how to make money out of it. And even when they make money, how do I scale my business or take it to the next level? So most of the times they don't see themselves as business people. They just think I'm a creative, I'm good at what I do. And sometimes it can give you a sense of entitlement. I'm good, I can sing, so why am I not making something out of it? Or you have a talent, but because of maybe the business ecosystem, you actually leave something which would have given you so much money, and maybe because maybe pressure from parents, go and do accounts, go and do, so that at least you can have something to sustain yourself. But if we could be able to provide a platform for them, skill them so that they can be able to know how can I turn my talent into, a business. Yes.
And actually the intricate details of the biashara, because as you're telling me, there's so much to eat.
Yes.
The same way you can't just bake a cake with
exactly. Because, for instance, there are so many topics we teach, about 5 that we teach different coaches, experts in different fields. And you find that by the time, it's normally like a 5-day, training session. By the time we're coming to the end of the week, they really come to understand talent is just what I have. As in, it's actually... it's a gift that I have, but then how do I serve it to my world? How do I ensure I package it? So that's why you have, lessons like business strategy. How do I stand out? What's my value proposition? If I'm a musician, for example, why would somebody want to listen to me and not to Sauti Sol? So there's a way in which you need to define yourself. You need to define your audience. And that's something that most people coming into business don't really think about it. They just think it's music and everybody, if I do something good, everybody should be able to subscribe to it. But it's not it. There's always someone who's out there. Think about it. I think maybe if I can give an example, back in the days, they used to say that when the villagers wanted to go to war, there was a way in which they blew the horn and they knew it was time for war. So even for you in business, you have to have a distinct sound that guys know. Like, like coming up, growing up, we always used to identify green with agriculture. But today, when you say green, it's Safaricom automatically. But you see, it's something they did consistently to imprint it on our minds that green will always, it's the first thing you think about. You don't think about trees and agriculture anymore. So even you as a business person, how do you ensure that in the mind of the customer, when they see something, they can actually link it to you? Yeah.
So you have to meet them at an emotional point.
Exactly. Think about how Coca-Cola advertises itself. Happiness. So every time you open a Coke, I assure you'll feel happy.
Oh, and they have a name on the bottle. Wow.
Exactly.
I am so happy.
Yeah, so it's more than just having talent. Talent just tells you, okay, hey, you have something you can serve. Then now we come to upskill you and tell you, much as you have this talent, now you need to realize there are different aspects of the business you need to think about. Because you find that there are people who are very talented, they actually sign up very many gigs, but they are forever broke. So that already tells you there's an issue on the side of finances. How are you handling your finances? How are you getting paid? And then how are you splitting the money? Because sometimes you can get paid immediately. The money comes. Let's assume you do a gig and you're paid something like 300,000. You assume that the entire amount is yours. It's not. And that's where, like, for example, when we are training them, we always encourage them to separate yourself from the business. We call it entity concept. Why? Because the business is like a person. You see, with a business, you register just the same way you have your birth registration. You have your birth certificate. The business has its own certificate of registration. It's a person on its own, and it has its own needs. So you cannot come now and mix your needs and that of the business. One of the two will suffer. So when money comes in, you need to ask yourself, was this money for the business, or is this my money? And if it's money that has come in, then maybe should I just take a salary or a percentage out of it? And should I keep increasing the percentage as the income comes in? Or what do I need to do about it? So that you can be able to see, because sometimes you can be so good, you're working so hard, but the financial side will frustrate you because you're not really seeing where the money is going.
And once it starts frustrating you, then it affects your mental.
Exactly, because now you have debts all over. As you know, like maybe you're a DJ, you need to buy your sound system, or maybe you're even hiring, you can't even pay the person you're hiring because you don't know where your money is going. So yes, you're still a talented DJ, but a broke one.
And that's a sad reality for a lot of...
Yes.
Okay. What are 3 systems that every creative business should put in place?
I'm so big on finance. Not only for business, even for you as a person, tracking where every shilling is going is so important. And then separating your money and that for the business. For example, if I am probably performing in a band and we are performing in a restaurant, I need to know my costs for leaving home to go for that gig. So I'm not branching at the in the middle of the road to go somewhere. So if I know maybe I'm leaving South B, I'm going to Allianz. Maybe from there, am I taking a mat first of all? Am I taking a cab? If I'm taking a cab, I need to know what's the cost. So in my costing for that gig, I know from South B maybe to Allianz was 500 shillings. So in my side of bookkeeping, I should write my cost, because that one also helps you know how to price yourself. Because if you don't know how much it's costing you, then remember you also have to dress up for the for the performance. So every of the costs they're going to incur for that gig has to be recorded on the side for the business. Another very big danger I see is for most of them, they are paid on the spot. So you finish playing, then maybe it's the band leader who's given, and then they pay you via M-Pesa. Now, if you're a person who likes clubbing, that's where the money...
comes on Friday.
Yeah, because when you finish playing, then maybe after the band, it's a DJ who's coming in. So you decide, let me also hang out with guys. So the money you've just been paid because it's on your M-Pesa, you'll end up spending it. And then the following day, you're wondering, okay. And you see, that's what for me on the finance side, I call it hunter's mentality, because you're always assuming there'll always be opportunities for you to go out and do gigs. So remember, like now, the time of COVID, nobody was going to restaurants. So where does the money come in? So you realize I didn't save. I'm this gifted person. Guys are calling me to sing, to do what, but yet I don't have money. And the moment guys start seeing you on camera, they assume because you're out there, you have the money. You
have some chums.
Yeah. So you start taking loans from all these Mshwaris, Fuliza, Tala, and you're deep in debt, and that affects you psychologically, affects your performance. So talent alone can be enough. There's a lot that you need to put in place for you to be able to scale and actually enjoy what you're doing. Yeah.
Are there other systems except from the
Yes.
finance?
Of course, finance, tracking your money. Number two, client management. How am I attracting, communicating to my clients, and how am I retaining them? It needs to be repeated. And then you also need to understand who my clientele is and what social media platforms am I going to use to reach them. Like my daughter likes saying, we mothers must be on Facebook. So if you
I
want,
also tell my team a lot.
yeah, so
Ni watu wazee.
ni ya watu wazee. Like yesterday we were talking about a friend of hers. She's like, what is he doing there on Facebook? So I asked her, what's wrong with Facebook? She said, but Facebook ni ya wazee. So if there's a demography you want to reach, you know they're on TikTok. Like they said, TikTok is the #1 platform in Kenya, right? So you need to ask yourself, am I on TikTok? And how am I going to reach them? What kind of content suits TikTok? What kind of content suits Instagram? And how can I use all the platforms maximally? How can I maximize to ensure that I'm reaching my audience? And then consistently, engaging your audience, because people will forget you if they can't see you. Yeah.
So sometimes it's not just about cross-posting.
No.
You have to find TikTok.
What works for TikTok, what works for, Instagram, what works for those social media platforms, and what do you want to put out there? And then with business, you can't afford to relax. You can't afford. Like, for example, there's something I keep saying. I saw a friend of mine who used it beautifully. He's a fitness person. So there's that clip for nilisikia tu do na wezi maintain, una retaliate. So the person used it to sell, because the person trains people on kickboxing, boxing, and it resonated so well, because boxing is about retaliating. So using what's currently happening in the country to be able to scale and push yourself, because you can imagine that algorithm was really doing rounds. Yes. So anybody who did anything in line with that, yes, even if I was searching on it on TikTok, somehow my business would show up. So I could see so many opportunities, even for organizations to use the same
Sound,
reel and
yes,
sound,
yeah.
but people are not using it. So you have to keep abreast with what's happening and what am I doing, what am I using to be able to reach my audience.
So don't get tired of posting.
Don't. So that's why I said, how do you, because marketing is getting people to know what you do, to like you, and not to continue doing business with you. So the question is, how do I ensure that I'm reaching my client with something? And then let me tell you, in business, you also have to imagine people like you. So you continue posting. You can't afford to have low self-esteem. At you posted, at only one person liked or saw it. Imagine people love you. And
we call it delusional. You have to be delulu.
Exactly. Imagine there's this audience have to wow every day. So every day when you wake up, you're doing something different. Yeah. And you also have to read up and find out what other people in your space are doing and how can you do it differently. Then the third one is your workflow system. You have to, because you want it to be repeated, you have to know, how do I start from inquiry to now all the way to the payment. So this is something that you need to put systems in place so that it's not something that you're coming to do on a daily basis. Yeah. So you could have a way in which you have either written down how your processes will flow. Imagine I'm running a salon or a nail tech business. How do I want the processes to flow all the way to the end? So it's something that you're going to do repeatedly. So anything that you are going to do repeatedly, systemize it to make it easy for you and free you to focus on what is core in your business.
For example, let's say you run a fashion design. How can you systemize that process from a customer inquiring to, sometimes you don't have ready-made outfits, especially for creative who's starting and doesn't have a finance.
I see a lot of fashion guys using Instagram for some reason. They also use TikTok, but I see a lot of them moving on the side of Instagram. So in terms of systemizing, my question would be, the fashion is wide. Am I a fashion designer like Vivo? Like now, do I have something ready-made that guys can walk in and buy? If not, am I as in, like, does a client have to walk in for me to be able to know what am I customizing the clothes to suit you? So in terms of engaging your audience, let's talk about now how I want to attract, So think of the likes of fashion designers in Kenya, the guy for Bespoke. If you want to go out of the country, Vicky James, what do they do to keep their clients engaged? Maybe you're working on a piece. There's a client, of course, with their permission. There are those who don't want to show off their outfit until they've worn it. But if you're working on a piece, even something for yourself, just engaging the audience, look at how the thinking process. So first of all, I sketch it, and what is my motivation for sketching it? How do I want this client to look like? So all these processes, as you're doing it, you can actually systemize it so that client can be able to see. If I, for example, I get people to help me, they know that when a client comes in, first of all, we need to engage the client and understand where they're coming from, and be able to understand how do they want to look, what's the occasion, yeah. Wengine ni revenge mission, nataka ex wangu ajue nime. So you need to know this one needs to come correct, right? So it's just understanding their need, their pain point. How do all of us want to be the one, the Cinderella that everybody is looking at. So that's a wow effect I want to give them. So you need to have those processes put down. So the sketch is there, we take their measurements, and then we advise them. Sometimes you could walk in with something that maybe the designer feels based on your body type, this would not look good. So how then do I convince my client? Yeah. And then knowing when to escalate things. So all these are part of the processes all the way to the end. How much deposit should the client put in? At what point should they come in for fitting? And then, how do we deliver? If we're delivering, or are they coming to collect? So if you can be able to document all these processes so that even if you get a new person, you're not again going back to think. So like they say, nobody goes to war without counting the cost. So knowing what is it going to take me to be able to systemize this process.
And time too.
And time.
Because you don't want one client alingoja 2 weeks, the
In
other
fact,
one is
let me
waiting
tell
for
you,
1 year.
when it comes to fashion and you want to price, there's normally a very big challenge on the side of pricing. The more the outfit takes, as in the more time the outfit takes, no si ile ati ya fundi ati kuja kesho, no, as in the design, there are some designs where you really have to, like if you're bidding, you have to use your hands. It's not a machine. Those ones take time. So the more time an outfit takes, the more expensive it will be. And sometimes fashion designers don't think about it that way. And you need to also communicate that to the client and say the reason why this is expensive. I remember one time I went on one of the fashion houses. My sister was getting married, and there's an outfit I saw. Now, first of all, the timeline, because we had I think a week or two to get the outfit. She said, "Well, the outfit you want is possible, but this I need a month." So you see such things. I'm able to tell the client on the spot, "This I'll need a month." And if you want me to put everything aside and forecast, then this is what it's going to cost you. So that from the beginning, the client knows that if I go to Vanessa and she's the one making the outfit for me, it's going to take her 1 month. And 1 month, even if possible, do it even 2 or 3 days before.
And the honesty is client relations.
Of course.
What mistakes do creatives often do early on in the business, and what advice would you give them?
For some, underpricing, underselling yourself, not knowing your value. So because you're so desperate to, to be out there, sometimes you undervalue yourself. And the challenge is sometimes people will leave you at that level. Sometimes it's good to say no and walk away from some deals. Yeah. So underpricing, underselling yourself, and doing too much, not knowing the boundaries. That for this price, for what you're asking for, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, that sometimes that desperation, or like even sometimes for hairdressers, I've not had a customer today. I charge maybe braiding at 1,000 bob. Wacha tu nimshuke na 500. Because the next time they'll come and say, how come last time ulinishuka na 500, leo imekuaje ni 1,000?
Ulimshuka 500. Kwani imepanda?
Nini imefanya ipande? Braids bado bei. Clients also know. So it's just saying, okay, this is what I'm charging, and there are clients who are going to appreciate you at that price. And then you have to be patient for the ones that you're saying. And then marketing yourself, not assuming that because your good guys are going to come. Yeah. You have to be out there marketing yourself, pushing your craft, and then working on you. Because sometimes you might just make it big. You just get a huge amount of money and think that it will always be that way. No. Utashtuka.
Because there are seasons.
Exactly. And I guess that's why even in music we have one hit wonders. You come, you give us a very nice song, then you get lost. No, it has to be consistently building on it, and also always looking for ways in which I can be able to better myself. And then of course, who do I want to work with? Who's my role model? Who am I looking up to and working towards becoming?
How can creatives grow their income without burning out?
Systems, back to systems. Like we said, separate your money.
Financial discipline.
Yes, first of all, separate business money from personal money. And if it's possible, get a salary from your business, or a percentage of that money comes to you in terms of like a salary. Secondly, diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yes, I'm in music, I'm in fashion, or I'm in whichever creative field that you're in. The excess money that you have, invested. Right now, people are talking so much about money markets, investments. Put your money in other places where it's not only in that industry alone. And also, another thing is, on the side of finances, something I see, take insurance for yourself. For example, somebody who's a band leader. You have guys who are playing the drums, guys who are playing the guitar. What if you are coming for the gig, kapanda boda boda, mkono ikavunjika? Do you have a personal accident covers? They're out there. So that, can you imagine you're at home, maybe mkono ilivunjika, but you're still getting paid because you took a cover for yourself. So that, you know, it helps in such instances. So just cushioning yourself against certain risks which you can be able to see, you know, the foreseeable future. So ensuring that you're investing your money, you're pricing yourself well. And then also you need to look at the value chain of your business. Because yes, there's me producing the music, but do you know you can also have a master class? Maybe I'm very good, I'm singing. Maybe, for example, someone like Bien can decide to be, if he wants to, can decide to be a voice coach. That's still income coming in. And you know, having walked the journey, he knows from the idea stage to where he is right now as a musician, he knows the challenges that people have gone through. So he is able to be to monetize his knowledge and say, for people who are in this space, this is the master class. This is what I'd want you to learn. How do I market my business? How do I market my music? Who do I collaborate with? So you can imagine if he decided to call for a class, how many musicians would show up and want to be part of it?
And even pay top dollar.
Exactly. So if it's bespoke, maybe, or any other fashion designer, he can give us the behind the scenes. How do you choose the fabric? How do you know, sometimes you can just buy a fabric, oh, unashona tu cause umepelekea fundi. But I was actually being told there's a way in which patterns must flow to make the fabric look good. So maybe it was supposed to, the patterns are supposed to face down, na wewe umefanya iface hiyo side ingine. So it just distorts how the outfit needs to look like. So there's also understanding that, and there's also creating your pattern, your template, so that you can be able to, you know, produce the fabric. Because you can imagine sometimes, like now if we go and buy the usual vitenges, everybody has them. Yeah. So sometimes unaweza panda matatu pato hiyo amevaa top, hiyo amevaa trouser, you know. So coming up with unique patterns so that you can be able to create the fabric, and then also, so there's so much that you can do in between so that you don't burn out and also you increase your revenue.
Because nowadays I see they do like one color and then they put the kitenge in patches.
Yes.
And
how do you play around with the fabric? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What is one underrated revenue stream that creatives are sleeping on?
Understanding the value chain of their business. Just like I've said, there's so much money they leave on the table. Because sometimes, like I said, you're a musician, like for example, Bien and the likes. There's so much you can do, because it's not only the music from start to finish. The process is part of your product. So you can also sell it in bits. So you can either, you know, cut it down and sell it in bits. So it becomes a class. I'm a fashion designer. Can I be able to come up with a podcast? Because let me tell you, the challenges you also face as a business person tell you that it's a pain point somewhere. So you find that I want to lessen the issues I have with clients. Because some clients come and they come with something from Pinterest and they tell you, I want this. And that's what they want. Maybe their body type won't accommodate it. So why not come up with a podcast, you know, something that you can be able to tell people, if your body is this type, we call this body type either A or whatever pair, and this is how you're supposed to dress it. If you want to, you know, to stand out, you're supposed to look at your strong points. Maybe I've got nice legs, but, you know, bottom heavy, top heavy, all that. So you have a podcast that you're teaching guys. So people will be able to trust you. I remember one time I had an event, and actually it's my daughter who had the event. So I took her to have her makeup done. They were having, what do they call them? Prom night. And this lady came where I had taken my daughter to do her makeup. And she insisted, I want my makeup done in this way. So the lady was telling her, I'm a brand. I can't allow you to go out looking like a ghost and then you'll say it is me.
That is very true.
So the client was so angry. She said, I thought the customer is right. So these are things you can be able to take care of beyond, before. So of course, after the lady left, I was like, by the way, do you know this is something you can actually teach guys, and show them why certain shades, what colors will look for you. Like if I'm going for a job interview, what kind of makeup do I need to have on? If I'm going for, like how she was going for prom night, if I'm going for a wedding, is it an indoor wedding? Is it an outdoor wedding? So these are things you can be able to do. You're leaving money on the table, teaching somebody, so there's a value chain. There are things you can monetize. And so if you don't sit down and really think through your business, there's money that you're leaving on the table for other people to come in and pick. Yeah.
That is very true. And in the instance that you do not have money to finance your creative business, but you can do something else, would it be advisable to maybe get into corporate to get money to finance this creative business? Or would you tell people to be more resilient in their creative?
It depends on me. For me, I'll say it depends on what age you're in. For the Gen Zs, anybody who's there 16, 18, you have time. Which child are you breastfeeding? Which child are you taking to school? So if you really believe in your heart, this is the direction I want to go into, then put your all there. And then something I'd also encourage creatives to do, read a lot. And I would encourage you to read biographies on guys who've done business. Because then you'll always realize the fact that I'm failing or I'm not making it or the money is not coming now doesn't mean it will not come. Because you need to stay with one thing and see it to the end. I mean, who knew that M-Pesa would be such a big thing? Because those days, if you're sending money to the village, ulikuwa unatafuta mtu anaenda ushago, pelekea mami ama unaweka kwa mkate, kuna vile ulikuwa unafanya ifikie mama, si ndio? But how did they convince us that I can actually come and give somebody there, and my mom in the village or my auntie or my grandmother is going to receive money? It takes time to change people's mindset, to win their trust. So if you believe strongly, I have the talent for music, and it's music I want to do, then you really just need to throw yourself into it. And that's why it's also good to have role models and people like who've gone ahead. The likes of Prince Inda, Kina Bien, coming back to talk to the younger people and telling them to be patient and work on their craft. Because one day, there's a day Safaricom was 1 day old, there's a day Coca-Cola was 1 day old, but it's through consistency and working on their craft that they got to where they are. So if you are so convinced about what you have, don't give up on it, especially when you have the advantage of age and you don't have, these other pressures coming in. But if you know you've got the advantage of age, work on your craft. Work on it and be patient. Patient, reading up. If they have got any community events, going there, mingling with other people, finding out how did Nameless do it, how did so-and-so do it. What are some of the challenges they faced? How can I overcome? Because there's nothing that doesn't have a challenge. Yeah, other than getting to 60 and saying, I wish I had worked on my dream.
That is true.
Yeah. So just being persistent and resilient.
How important is collaboration, and how can you choose right partners in the creative?
I'm trying to remember how that quote goes. They say if you want to go where, you can walk alone, but if you want to go far, collaboration is important because, and then also choosing who you want to collaborate with, because they need to share your same value system, your same work ethic, and what it is you want to communicate. So it's something that you really need to think through. Who do I want to work with? And you see, and this is where you need, and that's why we say talent is not enough, because as a musician or as a creative, you need to always set goals and ask yourself, in the next 3 months, where do I see myself? How does success look like to me? And who do I want to identify with, and who do I want to partner with? Because it's always said, if 5 people around you are politicians, you're likely to be the next politician. So if you want to increase your chances of getting to the place you want to get to, then you need to surround yourself with the right people, partnering with the right people. Growing up when you're watching all these, Black American movies, especially about guys who want to make it big, musicians, you always find them walking around with their demo tape and they're saying, if I can get to Sony Records or whoever, somebody, so they always have it with them. They're always working on it, and they're always believing that I can get there. So it's you to ask yourself, who are the people that I want to partner with? Where are they? And how can I get to them? And sometimes all you can ask for is just mentorship. The worst they can say is no. Yeah. And then also knowing, like, for example, partnering is not wrong. Let's take the example of when Diamond collaborated with Kofi Olomide. Kofi Olomide is a big deal. I mean, of course, bigger than Diamond then. So you come together, and so what's the objective of this collaboration? Is it to make money? Or is it to reach the audience that Kofi Olomide is able to reach? So I'm trying to imagine from Diamond's perspective. Maybe I'll say, yes, of course, I'll get a cut out of the music blowing up. But more than that, I have a link. I have a new fund. And there are other platforms where Kofi Olomide plays in, where they'll ask me to come. Because if somebody likes the song that they did together, then if, say, Kofi Olomide is playing, say, in France or whichever,
They bring out that artist.
Diamond will have to be there. Yeah. So there are certain platforms which open up, and you see in such platforms, they'll allow you to do another 1 or 2 songs. So you begin, so it's like you're giving people a taste of your music. So the question is, what's your objective when you're coming to collaborate? Even in pricing, ask yourself, is it market penetration? So am I pricing my products a bit low so I can capture the market? Or is my objective making profits? Yeah.
Because even if, like, when concerts are happening, let's say Ben Sol is performing, most of the time he'll bring out Bien and the crowd will go. So it's also a way of connecting with the fans because they like Bien. Okay, good. So I'm going to impress them by bringing Bien. So we sing that song that they like. And so you get the what is it called? The audience will now gravitate to you more. Yeah. So
but also when you're collaborating, don't only look at the number of people this person is reaching. You really have to be strategic about what you want. Yeah, because sometimes some people can overshadow you to the extent that it's not really you people are looking at. So you really need to have to be strategic in your collaborations, set your goals, and then be very aggressive. Business, you have to be aggressive. The fact that you're good doesn't mean that you don't sell yourself, and start looking for places where you can be able to perform, or places where you can put your art, or looking for you just have to be aggressive and on the go. Always thinking about, and that's why for me, I feel like for the younger generation, I mean, what else are you thinking about? You can eat, sleep, dream, think you're creative. How can I pack it? It's all about packaging. How can I package this, my creative business, in a way in which guys will want to always come to me? So you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. You can't afford not to bring your A game.
So you have to always be prepared.
Always prepared. Bring your A game. You find someone says I'm a makeup artist, they show up, their faces are looking blank. So who's going to know you're doing makeup? No. If you're a person who's very good at braiding, ensuring you look good, so that guys can be able to say, hey, where did you get that? Who did that for you? So that, those referrals are coming. Yeah.
That is beautiful. Also, if you're a musician like me, let's say you play the guitar and you've gone to an event, I see most of them carry, just in case, an opportunity may present itself and I may get to...
The guitarist comes late, got into an accident, who can play. So they need someone to replace quickly. So basically, live ready. Yeah, live ready.
Okay. And our last question would be, what does scaling look like in a creative business?
Scaling is in different dimensions. Scaling could be, I want to open another branch. Scaling could be, I want to now appeal to a certain clientele. It doesn't necessarily have to mean expansion in terms of, I want to expand my business, but it's you deciding which direction do I want my business to now go into. What spaces and gaps have I seen as I'm moving, and how do I want to reach my audience? So scaling can be in different dimensions. So it's up to you as a creative to ask yourself at every point, where do I want to find myself? Setting goals, and not only setting goals, because a goal, if you just write down, it can be like a wish list. But setting goals and then coming up with what we call strategic initiatives. What am I going to do to reach that goal, and what is it going to take me to reach there? That's part of scaling. And also, reaching out for help, because sometimes as a creative you can be stuck. You're wondering, okay, then how do I, go above this ceiling? And maybe for you as a person, you need to evolve. Scaling could also be you as a creative business person. You need to upskill yourself. There's certain skills now you need to go for. Cause one to you, if your business outgrows you as a person, because it will crash. Because then the person who's handling the business does not have capacity for it. So every time, much as the business is growing, you need to evolve as a person. Because the person who began the business is not the same person. So because things are happening to you, think about somebody who's going to the gym today and you start by carrying 5 kgs. That person who began at 5 kgs won't be the same person who's carrying 100. So certain things are happening to you even as you're going in this journey. So you need to keep asking yourself, how do I want to scale? Who do I need to work with? Who needs to be in my team?
I would love you to give last words to creatives on Sanaa and Biashara as we close our episode today.
Believe in yourself. That's the first thing, because mindset is so important. There's so many people who are talented out there, but you'll find that it's only those who are consistent, those who are resilient, those who are working on themselves, working on their craft, who actually make it. So for me, I believe in them. I have trained them, I've coached them. I can see the passion, I can see the zeal, but that's not enough. You need to actually ask yourself every point in time, have goals for yourself. Say, this quarter, what do I want to achieve? And to achieve it, who do I need? And go, and don't be afraid if doors are shut. It's just redirection. If somebody says no, go to the next person. Yeah. Remember the story of KFC? He got how many no's? Almost 1,000, more than 1,000. But somebody somewhere said yes. So always believe somebody somewhere will say yes, and then take the feedback that you're given seriously. So if you go somewhere and somebody says no, find out why they said no, take it, go back into your lab, work on yourself, go back and serve it to your world. Because I'm a believer in the word of God, because it says your gift, that gift that God has given you, will make room for you. So for it to make room for you, you need to work on it. And sometimes at the backside becomes your wilderness, where you work on your gift, you come and serve your world. And even you ask yourself, whatever I'm serving the world, is it good enough? Would I also remove money from my pockets to buy it or patronize it? So I believe in you, believe in yourself, work hard, and there's always room. The sky is big enough for all of us, so there's room for you. So don't say that somebody else is doing it. No, you do it better, do it differently, show us a different side to it, and we'll patronize your business.
Thank you so much for joining us in this episode. We appreciate your time, your expertise, and we hope to see you again on another episode.
Thank you for the opportunity.
As we end the episode, you will find Sandbox details and Annette's details on our description box and on our captions, and we would love to know what systems are you planning to implement on your biashara as a creative. Tell us on the comments. We will love to engage with you and also talk one-on-one with you. Thank you so much.